Hi, I'm Jen.
And I'm Craig.
And this is the Not Project. And are you going to be starting over now?
I think this is a good take.
Okay. All right. So today we played a little game called How Many Things Can We Possibly Do in One Day?
No, Jen played a game called How Many Things Can We Schedule at What Time?
Okay. Well, yeah, I was going to confess that I'm the only one that really liked to play this game. And I like to play it until Monday morning where I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, why do I do this to myself?
No, it usually happens. It goes until Wednesday because you try to push through because you do have endurance. And then Wednesday comes around and she's like, Craig, why do I do this? You need to help me, please. Please tell me to stop. It's usually how it goes.
Right.
Now, I'm probably exaggerating. It's probably not. She probably doesn't say please.
Anyway, so here we are in our little matchy t-shirt because we literally have not had time to change since church. Today was group launch Sunday. We're super excited about that, getting all these people in groups, and we're just praying for lots and lots of leaders. So if you are from North Point and you want to lead a group, please reach out and let us know.
Or if you're in the Austin area looking for a church and looking to be a leader of a small group.
Okay, so our topic today is nagging. And the reason why we're talking about this, and we're just going to make this short and sweet because we have somewhere to be. So I posted that what I thought was funny little snapshot of our conversation via text. Remember that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
which, full disclosure, I did not intend to be made public.
You just never know.
Yep.
Big Brother's always watching. Or
actually, the rule is that you should never type, say, or do anything that you do not want film recorded and or publicized.
Yeah, social media footprint, right? That includes digital footprint.
Yeah.
So anyway, I posted on the Not Project, and everyone there thought it was funny. And then, but when I posted it on my personal Facebook page, it turned into a really interesting discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And because nagging, the word nagging, can be a triggering word for people. And so we kind of had to give a little bit of a backstory. If you missed the post, you can go back on the Not Project page and see it. But basically, the gist was I had asked him 3 times, have you sent the message? And so this was all about I needed him to contact his doctor because there had been some changes in how his medication was working, and I was fearful. And so, 3 times in a row. And I have this bad habit of, even with my kids, have you cleaned the bathroom yet? And then 5 minutes, have you cleaned the bathroom? Have you cleaned the bathroom? That's annoying, right? It is annoying. And I totally own that. And he said...
It really is only annoying when it's part of a succession of things that she gives you. Now, another little backstory that her father loves to tell was when we first got married, he was visiting, and Jennifer rapidly gave me 5 things that she needed me to do. And my response to her at the time was, Jennifer, I love you. And I want to do all of these things that you asked me to do. Which one would you like me to do first? So he loves telling that story.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm sorry. My brain just moves quickly, and I like to get a lot of stuff done at once. Productivity, efficiency, we're getting off track. We only have so
next week we're going to talk about the importance of Sabbath and rest.
Probably not.
Stay tuned for that next video.
Okay, so then he was like, hey, I thought you weren't going to nag. And then he put a little emoji, the kissy, blowing a kiss face or whatever. And so in that moment when I got that, I was like, I could be really offended by this. But then I was like, oh, you know what? I was really acting out of fear, which public knowledge, I am totally working on my fear, not by choice.
And you actually asked me to hold you accountable to that.
Right. So when I took that moment to pause, should I really be offended, or should I assume the best, that he's not trying to hurt me, that he's really trying to call me out in what he thought was a loving way? I mean, emoji kissy face. How much more loving can you be, right? It's true. So I
was probably mildly sarcastic.
Well, now you confess. Now that I'm totally advocating for you. Anyway, the point is, I chose to assume the best in that moment, and I said, that's not nagging, babe. That's a gentle reminder, right? And so it kind of diffused the heated moment of the situation, and it brought me back to a place okay, I really was acting out of my fear, And I need to be patient and let him take initiative and care of his own health. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but I can be controlling. It does happen from time to time. I'm working on this. But we even wrote a book about it. Anyway, we're all works in progress, right?
This is true.
Okay.
Very true.
So, but there are times when I don't think it's only wives that nag. I mean, I think that there are husbands that act for the same thing over and over again. It just it doesn't have the same stigma, right? But we're going to talk about nagging as a whole. Both men and women do it. And how do we get past the trigger of you're just nagging me into moving into action, right? Because nobody likes to be nagged. Right?
I think when we were talking about this earlier, the core message is that we want to hold each other accountable. We want to help each other become the person that God has intended for us to be, that He is calling us to be. And your spouse is your partner. God obviously is in charge. We're just helpers, right? Like, God has a plan for me. God has a plan for Jen. God has a plan for our marriage. We just want to help, right? We want to participate in that process. And I think, Jennifer used the word trigger, and I think that's a really good word to use, because I can be flippant with how I say things at times and not realize that the connotation of that word, or even the manner in which I say that word, can be a trigger for Jennifer, or a trigger for someone else, like someone else who might witness that in that instance, or like an example on Facebook, right? Like it's not to say that we need to walk around on eggshells, but we need to be cognizant, both sides, of assuming good intent. Right. And then also remembering, like Jennifer mentioned earlier, that we're all works in progress. And to be fair to Jennifer, I hadn't done what she'd asked me to do yet. Now, yes, it had been busy, but you know what? She reminded me, and I did it, right? So I think there needs to be that balance. There needs to be a happy balance between, holding each other accountable and doing it in a manner that's unloving or unhealthy. Right. And then even when you respond to it, it needs to be a balance of, if I really felt like Jennifer was being nagging, I could have done it in a much loving, more direct manner, because it probably would have had a bit more weight to the response.
For example, you could have said, hey, it seems like you're really afraid. Yeah. How can I help you in that? Right. And so then it's helping me actually process through the meaning, or the motivation behind my incessant asking. And that's kind of our second point, is what is the why behind the incessant asking, and what is the why behind the inactivity. So there have been times early in our marriage where I would ask Craig to do things like to fix something or build something, and he just wouldn't do it. And I thought it was because he must not love me enough, or think I'm enough of a priority, or mean enough to him, or whatever. But once we dug past that, he didn't do it because he didn't feel like he had what it took. And so he was afraid of not making me happy, of trying and failing, of his work being rejected, or whatever. And so it's like, now that I know that, I can come alongside him and say, hey, I think you have more than it takes to do this. And even if you mess up, because now he attempts things, and he's not always successful on the first try, but he can overcome that fear of failure and keep trying and keep persevering and keep enduring. And I'm there cheering him on instead of being critical or flippant or whatever, sarcastic. There's a time and a place for sarcasm, and when it's close to your, because he could have wounded me in that text, and I was just not in a place. I was in a good enough place to where I didn't take it as a wound. So we do have to be cognizant of how we respond when we are either not doing what we're supposed to be doing, or asking in a not the greatest manner. Yeah,
I mean, it comes down to the matter of where's your heart in that interaction. Yeah. And for sure, we don't get it right 100% of the time. And one of the benefits of knowing each other as well as we do, and loving each other as much as we do, is that we can always be not perfect and still be okay. And I think that that's a foundation that we've built off of, that, we both recognize that we mentioned earlier, works in progress, and our marriage is a work in progress, but we want to move positively in that right direction and towards one another, in deeper relationship with one another, and more intimacy with one another, more open with one another, and transparent with one another,
and
compassionate with one another. The more we allow ourselves to be taken in with God and taking more of Him and His nature, the more compassionate, more loving we're going to be.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So our challenge to you, if there is a pressing issue, like something that you feel like you need your spouse to do, and you want it to be done, and you feel like you're not making progress by continually asking, instead of asking him or her one more time, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Hey, just take a step back. And I think first pray and ask for God's perception of the situation. Is there something that is internal in them that is prohibiting them from taking that step and doing whatever it is? Like, for example, one last example, and then I'm going to be done. But he got his suit tailored. We're going to a wedding next weekend, and he got his suit tailored when he was his trimmest, right? He's had that issue with water weight that's not due to his diet or his exercise or his, stick-to-itiveness. It's because of his autoimmune disease. Well, we went on vacation, and he put back on 19 pounds of water weight. And so he knew if he went...
The cracklins helped a little bit with that.
Yes.
But that
Louisiana
was so
food.
good.
Okay, anyway, we're so I asked him, have you picked up your suit from the tailor? Have you picked up your suit? No. And then it dawned on me, he hasn't picked up his suit because he's afraid of trying it on and it not fitting. Oh, okay, I just need to give him space. The suit's not going anywhere. It's going to be fine. And so I could back off because God showed me this is why, and you just need to wait. And okay, so step one.
That's true, by the way.
What?
All that she just said was true.
I'm not going to lie to him.
No, but you and I had not really talked about that.
Yeah, well, we did yesterday.
It's been a long weekend.
Okay, so you have your situation, you have your thing that you want fixed or done. Pray about it first. Ask God if there's anything. Don't just assume that it's laziness. Don't just assume that it's personal. Don't assume that it's because they don't love you enough. Ask God, is there any other insight that I need before I start this conversation?
And do a self-check too, I think.
Yeah. What is my motivation for asking this question or for wanting this done? And then sit down and have a conversation. Hey, I notice that I keep asking for this and it doesn't happen. And so can you tell me a little bit about that?
Mm-hmm.
And how can we partner together for us to both get our needs met? Because sometimes with the whole nagging, constantly asking, you get so hung up on what you want and what you need that you become blinded to what they may need. You may have a tool that they need to be able to do what you want them to do. But it's not until you work together to accomplish that what you want is actually going to come to fruition.
Yeah.
And then maybe what you want is not really a healthy need. And so you need to have a conversation about that too.
Yeah, so I know it was a little bit longer than usual. It's been a few weeks since we've had one of these, so we kind of tried to cram everything in this one video. But as always, leave comments, ask questions, engage with your fellow partners and co-laborers online.
Yep.
Feel free to drop us a line if you have any questions or comments. We'd love to read them and respond to them.
All right, and we'll see y'all in a couple weeks.
Sounds good.
All right, bye.
Bye.